down off the drop. Down off the drop, 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 drop,
Alright, so today we're in a 2006 Pontiac GTO. This is the one with the 6-liter V8. It sounds really good. It has an aftermarket exhaust. It has the SLP Loudmouth 1 on it. My first impression of it from the outside, just personally, I think the looks are kind of understated, but at the same time pretty aggressive. With the 6.0, you get the vents on the hood, which look pretty mean, and this color also really pops. It's a super bright orange in the sun. It's like a completely different color. It really complements the lines of the body. I love the color of it. So I'm on a back road right now, and my first thoughts are how the steering is kind of loose. You really gotta turn in to get the desired result. The throttle response is pretty good. It's not too touchy and it's not super dead. Seats in the car are pretty comfortable. The bolstering could be a little tighter, but at the same time it's not bad. It holds me in decent, and I'm pretty thin, but the seat overall is pretty comfortable. I could road trip in this and I'd be fine. The shifter in this car is it's pretty loose in my opinion, but once you're in gear, you have no doubt that you're in the gear. And the clutch in this car as well is super easy. It's really easy. I can't get over just how light it is. It has a really good grab point. It's more towards the top, I'd say. But it's really easy to drive. You just rev it up to 1500 RPMs, let it out slow, and you're fine. Once you're actually moving, it's a piece of cake. It definitely gets some looks though. I think a large part of that is the color, like I mentioned. It just looks awesome. Downshifting in this car is super easy. Just flip the throttle a little bit and it goes right in. Whenever you're slowing down, there's some really nice crackles and pops every once in a while that I like a lot. One thing I like about this car is that it's pretty controlled power. You feel confident when you put your foot down a little bit. The last car I drove, the 500 horsepower Terminator Cobra, even if you barely put your foot in it, it wanted to spin. This car feels more civilized to me than that. Overall, I really like the interior of the car. Being that it's from 2006, you know, early 2000s, mid 2000s American cars have a lot of cheap type plastic in them, you can hear, all over the place. But overall, I think the setup of this car is really nice. It's driver oriented. The wheel's pretty good. I wish there were some better cutouts for your thumbs to make it a little more comfortable, but overall it's not bad. The dash is really nice. It just, you hardly have to look down. Everything's right where you need it. Another cool thing is that underneath the tachometer and speedometer, you have a digital display which tells you how fast you're going and what station you're listening to on the radio, if you're listening to the radio, which if you have a car that sounds this good, you probably won't be listening to the radio a lot. One thing that's weird, when I rolled up the windows, I don't like how the window controls are right here, but I guess that's something you'd get used to after you own the car for a while. It's pretty quiet in here though. When I hit bumps and stuff, there aren't a bunch of creaks and rattles, so I think it's aged pretty well. This car doesn't have a lot of miles, if I remember correct. I think it's around 50,000, but I'm not positive. So for the year, that isn't bad at all. The brakes are pretty good overall. They're not anything insane, but you definitely have confidence when you're coming to a stop. I'm sitting next to this bus and there's kids looking down at the car. Yeah, there's plenty of torque in every gear. That's one great thing about these V8s, is that you constantly have torque. The car just feels really solid overall. I like driving it. It's super easy to drive. It sounds good. You have enough power, but at the same time, it's not trying to completely kill you all the time. So it's kind of nice to have a good balance like that. Like I said, the shifter feels a little loose, but it's pretty satisfying when you go into each gear. Like, you know you're in the gear. I think a short shifter would go a long way in this car though, just to kind of cut down on shift times and stuff like that. It's a pretty overcast day right now, but the color of the car still really pops. The awesome like deep orange color. I think the license plate that he has on this car, High C, is really cool. It goes along with the car great. Sounds awesome when you're accelerating. One thing I do like about this car is just like the overall visibility. You can see out of everything just fine, and the hood drops down a ton. So it's cool that you can cram that big V8 in there, and it looks mean from the front, but you don't have the hood taking up like your whole field of vision. That's really nice. It does feel pretty low. Obviously this isn't like the lowest car out there. This one's on stock suspension, but it does definitely feel pretty low, especially I'm behind this pretty big truck here, so it's obviously going to magnify the effect of that. But yeah, I like it a lot. It surprised me. I thought this would be a car that, like, you know you have the V8 there, but it doesn't really get the car moving a ton. And I think maybe part of that was because of the understated looks. I think maybe that kind of tricked me a little bit, and that's kind of what's cool about these cars, is to the untrained eye, it's just a normal sedan that like looks kind of aggressive, but people don't know like what's actually under the hood of these things. So I think it's a really cool combination of having that understated look while still having such a beast under the hood. One thing I keep coming back to is the steering feel. I just wish it was a little bit tighter. For being such a heavy American muscle car, it really isn't doing too bad on these back roads. I'm pretty impressed with it, but obviously it's made for a straight line, and it does a lot better in a straight line, but really it isn't too bad. The body roll, it's there for sure, but it's not something that like completely takes away from the car and makes it no fun in a corner. One thing I have noticed is whenever I'm trying to downshift from 4th to 3rd, a lot of the times it seems to want to go in 5th, so you really have to consciously be thinking about what gear you're going into. I'm about to come up to a really sharp corner here, so I'm excited to see how it handles it. Not bad. Steering was pretty tight. I wouldn't say you don't feel confident going into corners, but you can tell that it makes the car kind of feel out of its comfort zone for sure. But like I said, it can handle it. It's just not something that the car is like built to do. But yeah, in a straight line, this thing's loads of fun. I'm gonna try to downshift from 4th to 3rd here and see how it does. There we go. Yeah, that time was much better. I was thinking more, I gotta keep it more in the middle. Because naturally, you just kind of want to go straight up, but this car, I guess it just kind of feels like it's trying to go to 5th a little bit more. Yeah, overall, I've had a lot of fun in this car, so huge thanks to Joe for letting me drive it. It's been a lot of fun, so I definitely would recommend one of these if you're looking into getting one. I think for the money, you get a really good value. So yeah, I definitely recommend one of these. It's been a ton of fun. So thanks for watching, and watch out for the next one.